Good afternoon, Poet fans. Welcome to another segment of Coach's Corner here on WCPoets.com. I'm Lance Franey, Associate Athletic Director for Communications here at Whittier College. And today's special guest is Duarte McDermott, Head Volleyball Coach here at Whittier College. Chris, thanks for joining me here this afternoon.
Thank you, Lance.
So again, tough time here with COVID-19. We're doing our Coaches Corners via Zoom this year, prepping for the fall season. It is an uncertainty of what's going to be happening, but just trying to catch up with our coaches during this time. We did David Costa last week, and hopping on the phone here with you today. The first question for you, though, Chris, is how has life been for you during COVID-19 and quarantine? I understand, you've bought a new house that you're in now. You've done a remodel. How's that looking for you? And, what else have you been up to?
Things have been, I guess, as good as they can be, all things considered. Definitely makes me realize how much I miss coaching volleyball and being at work and being around the athletes and just kind of all my student athletes. I coach club, or I used to coach club too. So definitely miss all that. So I think that part's been pretty tough, but we got lucky, bought our home right before everything hit and got the remodel done and, kind of did stuff like that. So it's been, that part's been nice because it's been nice to be in a bigger space since we have to be quarantined. It's been nice to be in a, be able to kind of, spread our wings a little bit out over here and be in a nice space that's ours. It's given us a little bit of time to do projects that we probably would have put off till the summer whenever I had some downtime away from volleyball. So I think, painting rooms, yard work, getting things around, kind of done like that has been the one silver lining that's having all this time here in the house has forced us to get that stuff done. So, but yeah, other than that, just trying to keep as busy as possible, stay connected with my athletes. I was doing some Zoom stuff with them, obviously, for spring. And then, I was doing Zoom things with my club kids too, just trying to, keep that connection going and give them any kind of, light of the situation that we can. So.
Yeah, moving into our second question now that you've talked about it regarding your athletes, since you can't see them in person right now, you're talking about the Zoom sessions you've been doing. How do you keep them motivated and ready for the upcoming season with that unknown and the uncertainty if we're even going to be having one? So how have you been doing that?
I think it's just talking to them. It's been a little bit more on an individual basis the last couple of weeks. I gave them, we were doing like the Zooms early on and all that, and then gave them a little bit of time to kind of be with their families as things were progressing and all that. And now we're having another Zoom here next week, kind of the whole group back together, but just been in communication with, athletes individually, whether it's phone call, text message through our group me, kind of any way that we can. And then just trying to, provide them as much information as is given to me. I think nobody really knows what's going on right now, kind of anywhere. So I think that makes it a little bit easier for them not to kind of speculate because everybody's in the same boat. So I think just kind of keeping them as motivated as possible and hopeful for the season in the fall has been priority number one, because I think we're all trying to have that hope.
And do you feel like a lot of these athletes are able to work out and get their practicing, getting their hitting, bumping, setting, spiking, everything, all the specific drills that they need to be doing? Do you feel that they're getting that necessary work in order to stay at a tip-top shape for the season?
Yeah, I think the volleyball part's a little bit tougher because it's a lot tougher to get some real volleyball in by yourself, other than if you're looking at film or breaking things down that way. But you kind of need at least one other person even to kind of play pepper, So I think that portion might be a little bit rusty when we get back. But I think for working out, I think our girls have always had a strong culture in the weight room, and Coach Z was awesome to send out our summer workouts and all that, and, modified plans should we need from body weight and kind of really anything we need. So, I'm expecting our girls to at least continue to be doing that and stay in shape and stay healthy and do whatever they can to, I guess that just kind of goes back into all over health, So I wouldn't be surprised though. Our girls have been very, very good about all that.
Now, with the uncertainty for the upcoming season, and what the new normal is going to be, how are you staying focused and positive on recruiting, getting back to a new normal, talking with recruits for the next year? How are you able to stay focused on that?
I think staying focused on it is having the time to do it. And that's something that I've had a little bit more of, is time to reach out more recently than any other time. But, and organizing, who sent me film and being able to reach out as many different club coaches and club directors and have those conversations, because a lot of it now is going to be not necessarily what we see in person, but more from recommendations that we're hearing from other coaches or club directors, and whatever film that those athletes do have. So kind of sorting through that and trying to keep in contact with our previous recruits and keep them excited for 2021. Obviously we're done with 2020, but keep them excited for 2021 and kind of let them know that there will be a light at the end of the tunnel, and that's kind of what we've been, what I've been doing so far. I think it's easy to stay excited about it though, because you're always excited about the potential of athletes coming in, so now it's just a matter of how can we find a new normal and a new way to get them to, see our campus, get them to be a part of it or feel more a part of it, and kind of commit that way, I guess. So I think that part's still to be determined, but I think as we keep going here and get closer to the new school year, a lot of that'll kind of unfold.
So it's going to be a fluid situation. It has been for this entire summer. It's going to be a new normal starting in the fall. Uncertainty of volleyball being a contact sport, so we don't even know if they're going to be able to play in the fall. And then if not, maybe it will be in the springtime. We're not sure. But what are some areas that you think might be different when you approach practices and games? Are they going to be small groups, individualized instruction? Are you going to have to break up and have multiple practices in one day? What will that kind of look like? Have you even been thinking about that this summer?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that. I think it's going to be dependent on what guidelines are out there by that point in time. I've been communicating with a lot of coaches and whatnot kind of throughout the nation and one of the committees that I serve on. So I think kind of seeing some of the guidelines or ideas that people have had has kind of weighed into some of the ideas that we may have for the fall. But, for game wise, obviously there's like little things, like sanitizing balls, not switching sides. I mean, different things that are different ideas that have been thrown out there for kind of mitigating the risk, I guess, or the kind of coming in contact with other athletes so much. So I think the one good thing for our sport though is that you're not necessarily holding on to the ball for a long period of time, or kind of other than being on your side. If we're staying on our same side, you're not really coming that close in contact with some of the other athletes. So I think at least from the opposing team, so I think that might help a little bit. And same thing with, we wear long sleeves typically. We kind of do all those things that might hopefully help mitigate the risk and allow us to have some sort of a normal, or whatever you want to quote normal as, coming up in the fall. So, and then again, time hopefully will provide new light on the situation, or new medical help and whatnot, that maybe it doesn't have to be a new normal for forever.
Well, talking about some of the new players you have coming in, I've been seeing a plethora of recruits that you've brought in for 2020. You're putting together your biggest roster since you've been here at Whittier during your tenure, and some of them are actually potential starters for you. So how much competition are you going to have in the fall with these incoming kids? And then, are you excited for this new group of players? Since you do have to fill some voids in some of the seniors that graduate.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I got to be honest, I'm really excited for this recruit class. I think we were really lucky that a lot of our athletes committed to us and wanted to come to Whittier prior to all this. So I think that made it made us a little bit more fortunate than I think some other programs, just kind of in the nation in general, because we had already had our lock on a lot of athletes that we had seen and evaluated and had already visited and kind of done the whole 9 yards. So that made us, I thought, in a good place. We were fortunate to get 2 athletes, transferring in at semester, and then we have 8 coming in the fall. So it is a big recruit class, but it's a very athletic, talented recruit class, kind of from all over the place, club-wise and experience-wise. And I think that I think we were young and old last year. We had quite a few seniors, but we also had some young athletes that made some big contributions to the program. And so I think it'll be really exciting to see how that unfolds, what the new athletes look like, what our transfers can do, what our returning young athletes that made big contributions, how they step up into new leadership positions and kind of the new role that they're going to have to take on. And especially during these kinds of times, I think leadership is going to be really, really crucial for our program. So I'm pumped. I think we could be good. I think there's a lot of unknowns, but I don't think that I ever recruit someone to the program that I don't think can help us. So that being said, we like a deep roster and we love competition. So I love competition in the gym. So now do you feel having that large roster creates a lot of
turmoil or a tough culture on the team because, again, like you said, competition and people are going to be butting heads and trying to fight for that spot. But with a bigger roster, it's going to be harder to handle a larger team.
Sure. I mean, we've had big rosters in the past. I think one of the big things that was one of our biggest selling points to all these athletes were the girls on our team. And so I think just the culture of our team and the athletes that we have already currently and we've had in years past, there's been kind of that culture of we're going to work really hard, but we're also going to be really supportive of each other because at the end of the day, it's Whittier that wins and not the individual athlete. And so, one of the things we've joked about with some of the girls are they'll be the first one to high five you or compliment you or help you in any way possible. But the second you come off that court and that girl goes in, she now knows like that's my spot, So I think it's kind of a healthy competition because, I think at the national team level, they were calling it co-opetition. It's very cooperative, but still competitive. And so that's something that we like to hold strong in our program. So I think that when it comes down to it, everybody knows too that because it's a really deep roster that nobody's necessarily safe for the full season because everybody's going to develop and some athletes or some matches might need different athletes during different times. Someone may get injured. There's a lot that happens in a college volleyball season. So, and now there's even more with the potential of COVID or things like that. So I think having that deep roster is just going to benefit us no matter what, so I wouldn't say that it's something that I'm nervous about. I'm more excited about.
Okay, great. So one last question here for you. Last year you missed out on the Sky playoffs by a game or two. You were right there. A couple matches could have gone your way, and that would have been huge at the very end. Your team was competitive, showing that they can compete with pretty much anybody in the conference. And we're talking about the top two. You're taking sets off of Claremont. Chapman, you were pushing as well, along with Kalu. Laverne was right there. So you're competing against these teams. And, there isn't any easy match in the conference, which is great for the conference, showing how competitive we are and one of the toughest conferences in the country to play in. But, what confidence does this give you heading into 2020?
Yeah, well, I think that all the new faces, there's a lot of unknowns, and so I think that we might be able to surprise some people with some of our incoming athletes, but also I think that our younger athletes that were making big contributions last year now have more experience on their side. So last year they were kind of, young and exciting and doing these things, and now they're a little bit more seasoned. Now they have that kind of that poise, that experience that goes with that mature athlete that we need to kind of weather the storm during tough matches. So yeah, the last few years, we've been very competitive, and last year we were one away from top four. So yeah, I'm sure there's a few matches that we'd like to get back from last season, and I think hopefully that fuels the girls for this upcoming season, and not making sure those kinds of matches escape us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to the fall of 2020. And again, I'm hoping things are going to, fingers crossed, things are going to go our way and we'll be able to have a season on, a lot of what ifs, like I've talked about, it is a fluid situation. But Chris, thank you so much for hopping on to our Coach's Corner here today with me. I'm hoping we'll be back here in the fall and we'll be able to, get those girls out there on the court. A lot to look forward to, very exciting time. But once again, thank you again for catching up with us here today.
Yeah, thank you, Lance. Appreciate it.